Hi, welcome once more to Mr. Max. In this lesson, we are going to revise from September 2021 Northern Cape Graphs and Functions. Okay, Graphs and Functions, September 2021 Northern Cape. That is question number 4 and 5. Okay, so make sure that this question paper you downloaded from our app, or anyway, it's better to have a question paper like this in front of you. Okay, then read that question and listen very carefully. Okay. Let's start question number 4. So there is a graph given there. So let me draw that graph first here. Okay. Then based on that one, we can answer the remaining questions. So there is a x and y axis. This is the y axis, x axis. Okay, I tried to draw a rough graph there. Okay, so now look at what is the question given. Sketched below are the graphs of f of x is equal to minus x square plus 4x plus 5. So there is an equation given like this. F of x is equal to minus x square plus 4x plus 5. So there is an equation given like that, f of x, and another equation g of x, that is 1 over x plus p plus q. So there are two equations given. One is f of x and the other one is g of x. B is the turning point of f. So also it is given that B is the turning point of f of x. So which one is f of x graph? This parabola is f of x graph and this one is hyperbola is g of x. So this is g of x and this one is f of x. Okay. So there are two graphs given. One is f of x. So f of x is equal to minus x square. What is that one? It's a quadratic graph. Am I right? X square. X square means it's a quadratic graph. And what is the shape of the quadratic graph? Is a parabola, this one. This is f of x. Okay. And the other one is 1 divided by x. The variable is in the denominator, x is in the denominator. Am I right? So it's a hyperbola. If the variable is in the denominator, it's a hyperbola. So where is that hyperbola? This is one part and this is the second part. Okay. So it's a combination of a parabola and a hyperbola, or a quadratic equation and a hyperbola. Okay. Now turning point of f. So and also it is given that this point is the turning point of this f of x graph, that parabola. Okay. The asymptotes of g intersect at b and the point a 3, 10 lies on g. So they are saying that this point, the asymptotes of this g of x graph, hyperbola. Okay. The asymptote of this g of x graph, can you see that this is a vertical asymptote, this dotted line, and this one is a horizontal asymptote, and it will meet at the point B. Okay, and there is a point A 2, 9 is given. That point is on g of x. Okay, so these are the C and D are the x-intercept of f. So here these points C and D are the x-intercept. Now this one is the x-intercept and that one is the y-intercept. Okay. Now what is the first question? 4.1. Question number 4.1. What is that question? Determine the coordinates of B. You have to find the coordinate of B. Okay. So it is given in the question that B is a turning point. Am I right? Okay. So what is the equation of f of x? It is given in the question. F of x is equal to, what is given? Minus x square plus 4x plus 5. So that is the equation of f of x. Okay, and first question is to find the coordinates of the turning point. Okay, so when an equation given like this, it's very easy to find the coordinate of the turning point. You have to know a formula. What is that formula? You have to know how to find the x coordinate of this point. There is a formula like this: minus b divided by 2 times a. If you can remember this formula, then it is very easy to find the turning point. Okay, so what is the formula? X is equal to minus b divided by 2a. So here what is a? A is minus 1. What is b? B is 4. What is c? That is 5. Okay, so x is equal to minus b divided by 2a. So x is equal to minus b. What is b? The value b is 4 divided by 2 times a. What is a? Minus 1. You understand? Okay, so what is that one? 2 times minus 1 is minus 2. So minus 4 divided by minus 2. Minus divided by minus is positive. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So what is minus 4 times 2 times minus 1 is minus 2. Okay, so what is answer? 2. So it means that the x coordinate of this turning point is 2. The x coordinate of this point is 2. Now what you have to find? The y coordinate. So how can you find the y coordinate? So once if you get the x coordinate, you just substitute that x coordinate in the equation. Then you will get the y coordinate. Am I right? What is the equation f of x? You know that f of x is the same as y. So let me write that equation: minus x square plus 4x plus 5. So substitute the values. Y is equal to minus, this minus is this one. What is the value of x? X is 2. 2 square plus 4 into x. What is x? 2 plus 5. So check in your calculator. What is the answer? Minus 4, 9. So in your calculator you will get 9. So it means that the y value of this point, let me write it close to that b. Okay, so let me write close to the b value. Okay, so what is the x and y value of b? The x value is 2, and the y value is 9. Okay, so the coordinate of b is 2, 9. So listen once more. To find the coordinate of the turning point, so if the equation is given like this, it's very easy. You have to remember how to find the x coordinate. There is a formula: x is equal to minus b divided by 2a. This formula you have to remember. Then it is easy. You just substitute a, b, that's all. Okay, minus b minus, what is b? 4. 2 into a, what is a? Minus 1. Okay, 2 into minus 1, then you will get x value. Then substitute again in the same equation. You will get the y value. So what is the coordinate of b? Therefore, coordinate of b is 2, 9. So that is question number 4.1. So before I go to the next question, you have to understand one more thing. What is the coordinate of b? 2, 9. Okay, so this same question, you can do it like this also. You know, last year you studied the completing the square method. Okay, so the same question you can do like this also. What is the completing the square method? This f of x is equal to, let me take this, I'm going to explain a little bit faster that one. Okay, so this method is the one that I showed is more easy. Okay, so anyway, let me take the minus as common factor from this equation, because I want positive x square term. Okay, so if I take this minus as common factor outside the bracket, so the remaining is x square, this plus becomes minus 4x, this plus becomes minus 5. Okay, now try to expand. Minus into x squared is minus x squared, minus into minus 4x is positive 4x, minus times minus 5 is positive 5, so it's fine. Okay, now that f of x is equal to minus of, then inside the bracket, x squared minus 4x, I wrote that first two terms. Then what is the coefficient of x? Coefficient of x is 4, minus 4. Okay, so it doesn't matter, you can avoid that minus. What is the, just take the number. What is the coefficient of x? 4. Okay, 4 divided by, you find the half of that one. What is the half of 4? 4 divided by 2, that is 2. Okay, then square that number. What is 2 square? Again it is 4. Okay, listen once more. What is the coefficient of x? That is 4. Half the coefficient, 4 divided by 2, that is 2. Square that number. 2 square, that is 4. What you have to do? You have to add that one and subtract that one. What is the answer you got? Positive 4. You add that plus 4 and minus 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. So we don't make any difference. Then there is a, don't forget this minus 5. there is a minus y outside. Okay, so we wrote that x square minus 4x plus 4 minus 4. Okay, now look at the first three terms. Look at the first three terms. This one. So that one you can write it. That one you can write it like this: f of x is equal to minus of these first three terms is x minus 2 the whole square. Okay, you have to refer the video completing the square method when I taught algebra section. Okay, so this first term is x minus 2 the whole square. Then minus 4 minus 9 is minus 9. Minus 4 minus 5 is minus 9. Okay, so now we can expand the bracket. So f of x is equal to minus into this term, that is minus x minus 2 the whole square, minus times minus 9, so it is positive 9. So when you get an equation like this, what is the turning point? What is the turning point? The opposite side of this minus 2. Do you remember that one? What is opposite side of opposite sign of minus 2? Positive 2. This number as it is 2 comma 9. So what is the turning point? 2 comma 9. That means B, turning point we represent with the point B. B 2 comma 9. So guys, I just showed you another method, that's all. Okay, so rather than this one, if an equation given in this format, it is better you have to know that formula, the first formula that I showed you, x is equal to minus b divided by 2a. So if you know that, if you can remember that formula, that method is too easy to get the answer, so you can save your time. Okay, so anyway, like this also you can find the answer, that's all. Okay, so anyway, that is question number 4.1. Now let's move to the next question, 4.2. What is question number 4.2? Look at that question, read the question, try to understand what you want to find. Hence, write down the values of P and Q. You have to find the values of P and Q. So how can you find the values of P and Q? P and Q. P and Q is on G of x. This is question number 4.2. What is G of x? G of x is equal to 1 divided by x plus P plus Q. So what type of equation is this? This is a hyperbolic equation. Am I right? 1 divided by x plus P. That's a hyperbolic equation. And what is this P and Q stands for? The asymptote. Am I right? The dotted line. Okay, asymptote. P is the vertical asymptote and Q is the horizontal asymptote. Okay, so here do you remember if you for example, not this question. Okay, so for example, if I have an equation like this, y is equal to 1 divided by x plus 5 minus 7. I'm just giving another example. Okay, now what are the asymptotes? Here it is plus 5. So when you draw that one, what is a vertical asymptote you are supposed to draw? When here it is plus y, here you have to draw through minus 5. You remember that one? Okay, opposite sign of this one, that is a horizontal vertical asymptote. So here plus 5, so here it is minus 5, and this one no change. If here it is minus 7, here also you have to draw it as a minus 7. You understand? Okay, so now look at the reverse order. Here if here it is minus 5 in the graph, if it is minus 5, what is in the equation? Positive 5. So now look at this one. This is the vertical asymptote. Am I right? This dotted line is a vertical asymptote. Here what is the x value? Positive 2. So if here it is positive 2, what is supposed to be here? Negative 2. You understand? When here it is minus 5, what's the equation? Positive 5. Am I right? So similarly, here we got the vertical asymptote, the x value is 2. This one, what is the equation of this one? X is equal to 2. Okay, so here vertical asymptote we got the x value as 2. So what we are supposed to write here? G of x is equal to 1 divided by x minus 2. So if here it is minus 2, now if we draw that one, we are supposed to draw positive 2, am I right? So if here it is positive 2, here this one is negative 2, do you understand? Then plus, here what is the value of q? No change in the sign of the horizontal asymptote. Here what is the horizontal asymptote? Y is equal to 9. This one, this point, what is the y value? 9. So this one there is no change. You understand? So what are the values of p and q? We have to find the values of p and q. So it implies that value of p is minus 2 and value of q is positive 9. Okay, so the p value is minus 2 and q value is 9. Okay, excuse me. So that is the question, second question. P is equal to minus 2 and q is equal to 9. Now let's move to the next question, 4.3. Question number 4.3. Question number 4.3. Before I go to the next question, try to understand like this. Last year you studied about this one. So for example, y is equal to let's say x minus 2 the whole square plus 9. Okay, I'm just giving an example. Okay, y is equal to x minus 2 the whole square plus 9. Okay, so if I change here, what is the sign of y? Positive. Okay, so if I change the sign of y to minus y, what is the meaning of that? Minus y is equal to, now change here, now x minus 2 the whole square plus 9. What is the meaning of this one? Y changes to minus y. So last year you studied like this. If the sign of y change, what is that one? That is the reflection based on x-axis. So don't forget that if the sign of y changes, positive y become negative y. What is that one? That is a reflection based on the x-axis. Okay, so we can't leave the answer like this, am I right? Okay, so again this here always we have to write positive y. So now here it is minus y. So how can I change this minus again back to positive? Throughout multiply with a negative. So what is that one? Minus into minus is positive y, minus into positive, here it is positive, so minus times positive is minus x minus 9 the whole square, minus into positive is again minus 9. Okay, so what is this equation now? This one is the reflection of this equation based on this equation based on the x-axis. So look at how the equation change. This is the actual equation. Y is equal to x minus 2 the whole square plus 9. Okay, so if the reflection based on the x-axis, can you see the equation changes like this? Y is equal to, this positive become minus x minus 9 the whole square minus 9. So what is that one? When it changes like this, you have to understand that that is a reflection based on the x-axis. That is why actually here it is y changing. Okay, so then after that we rewrite like this. Okay, so if the equation changes like this, that is a reflection based on the x-axis. You understand? Okay, now come back to our question 4.3. Question number 4.3. Question number 4.3, read that question along with me. Describe the nature of the roots of the graph of t. Okay, so you have to write the nature of the roots of the graph of t. Okay, so what is the meaning of nature of the root? You have to tell it's how many roots are there, what is it positive, negative, or no real roots or something like that. Okay, so you have to tell two equal roots, or you have to say two distinct root. Distinct means two different roots, that's all. Okay, distinct roots or solution, or you have to say no real roots. Do you remember this one? Okay, so no real roots. That's the nature of the roots. So here what is the question? You have to tell the nature of the roots of the equation t of x. Okay, so what is actually t of x? It is given there in the question. And what is t of x? T of x is given as minus f of x plus 10. So minus f of x plus 10. So I told you this f of x is the same as y. Am I right? Okay. So minus f of x means minus y. That means the sign of y change. If the sign of y change, what is the meaning of that? I already told you. If the sign of y changes, it means that that is a reflection based on the x axis. If the sign of y changes, it means that that is a reflection based on the x axis. Okay, so if that is our graph. Okay, that is our graph, this one. We have a graph like this. Reflection based on the x-axis means based on this x-axis the graph changes like this. You understand? That is a reflection based on the x. Can you see that this is our original graph? I pull it like this based on this x-axis. This one acts like a hinger. Okay, so it's supposed to pass through this point. So this one acts like a hinge. I'm going to put it like this. That is a reflection based on the x-axis. Okay, so here minus f of x, that means reflection based on the x-axis. Then plus 10. What is the meaning of the plus 10? That means that f of x graph is shifted 10 units to upward direction. You understand? Okay, plus 10 means that f of x graph is shifted 10 units upward direction. Okay, so now here you have to understand one thing. If this is our f of x graph, this one is our f of x graph. Okay, so actually what is this t of x? These changes happened in that f of x graph and we got a new graph, and that is, they call that graph as t of x. Listen very carefully. This is our normal f of x graph. It is given in the question. Okay, so after some changes happen to this f of x graph, what are the changes? Reflection based on the x-axis and 10 units upwards. Okay, then after that they got a new graph and they call that new graph as t of x. Do you understand clearly? Okay, listen once more. This is our normal f of x graph. Okay, so they made some changes in this normal f of x graph. What are the changes they made? Reflection based on the x-axis, then 10 units upwards. Okay, and they got a new graph and they called that new graph as t of x. And now they are asking what is the nature of roots of that new graph. Okay, so now try to understand like this. Here let me draw that graph here, this f of x graph. Okay, so this one is our asymptote. This is the y-axis. Actually when you write your exam, you don't want to draw anything like this. Okay, I'm just showing you how to find this one, that's all. This is the x-axis. Okay, so now which one is the graph? This is the graph. Okay, this is our f of x graph. So when this graph is reflected, minus means based on the x-axis, based on this x-axis, this is okay, this is not 0. Based on this point the graph will turn upside down. Am I right? Now the new graph based on this minus means reflection based on the x-axis. So now the new graph looks like this. Okay, not only there. Okay, now this is the reflection based on the x-axis. I'm sorry, not this one. So let me draw that graph here. Here this is the y-axis, and this one is the x-axis. I mean, this is the x-axis and the other one is the y-axis. Okay, and we have the asymptotes here. This is one asymptote and this is another asymptote. Okay, and this point is that b 2,9. Okay, so what is our graph? This one is our graph, am I right? This is our f of x graph. Okay, so what are the things happen to this f of x graph? Reflection based on the x-axis. Reflection based on the x-axis means this is the x-axis. So the graph is changing based on the x-axis. So I'm going to hold here. So where is the hinges? These 2 points are the hinges. Okay, I'm going to hold it here and put it like this. Okay, so now the graph turned like this. Can you imagine like that? That is a reflection based on the x-axis. Here what are the points? 2,9, this turning point. Okay, so this one, what is the meaning of that? Here the y value is 9. You understand? Okay, so when this one, so here what is the y value? It's going to be minus 9. Can you imagine that? Okay, this one, so this one is going to be minus 9. The y value is minus 9, but no change for the x value. X value is same, it is not moving left or right, so x value remains the same. Okay, and the y value is minus 9. It's not finished. This is reflection based on the x-axis. Okay, now after that this blue graph is shifted 10 units upwards. So here minus 9. So from there, if that graph is shifted 10 units upward, means minus 9 up to here 9, then it's going to be positive 1. So this graph is going to be something like this, 10 units. This up to here, what is a up to here, what is the distance? 9, because here it is minus 9. So this is 9 and 10 units upwards. Plus 10 means 10 units upwards. So it's supposed to pass through 1. Okay, so now what is the, and this one is t of x. They call that one as t of x. You understand? Okay, so now let's talk about this one. Okay, can you see the shape of the graph like this? Okay, so now let me erase. So then this red one is t of x. So let me erase all the other graphs from here. This one I don't want, f of x I don't want, I just want my t of x graph. Okay, okay, so this is the x-axis and this one is the y-axis. Can you see that this graph is above x-axis? Okay, so let me draw that one once more. Here the new graph is something like this. This is the y-axis and this is the x-axis, y x-axis. And how is the new graph t of x? It's like this. This is 1. Okay, so this is the new graph t of x. Okay, after the reflection based on the x-axis, then shifted 10 units. So this is the new graph. Okay, so in this new graph, is it touching the x-axis? This new graph t of x is not touching the x-axis. Am I right? It is above x-axis. So it means that if it is not touching the above axis, there is no x values or there is no solution. You understand? So in case if the graph is like this, okay, let's say, then how many solutions? There is one x value here and one x value here. That means two distinct solution, two different solution. Am I right? So in case if the graph is something like this, it is touching only one point, one x-axis, one point on the x-axis. That means only one solution. Okay, but what about this one? It is not touching the x-axis. Do you understand? So what is the nature of the roots? No real solution. Okay, so what is the answer you have to write? The graph of f is describe the nature of the roots of the graph t if t of x is equal to minus f of x plus 10. So you have to write the description like this. So you have to write. So when you write your exam, you don't want to show any of these things, okay? But to write the answer like this, you have to know all these things, what is happening there, okay? So you have to write f of x is reflected based on x axis, and then it is shifted 10 units upwards. It implies that no real roots. Then if you want, you can just show the graph like this, okay? No real roots, that is t of x. So that's the answer, okay? Only 2 marks, okay? So to write it like this, you have to know what is happening there. That's why I explained the above thing, okay? So this is the answer of question number 4.3. Now let's move to the next question, question number 4.4. Okay, now let's move to the next question, question number 4.4. 4.4. Listen very carefully. The graph of h where h of x is equal to g of x plus m plus n has asymptotes. Please read that question along with me, okay? Has asymptote x is equal to 4 and y is equal to 3. Write down the values of m and n. So it's a tricky question, but only 2 marks, but you have to read and understand what is the meaning of that question, okay? So actually, what is the equation of g of x? What is the equation of g of x? G of x is 1 divided by x plus p. We already got the value of p. What is that one? Minus 2 plus q, we got it as 9. That is why here 2 comma positive 2 comma 9, okay? So this is the actual equation of g of x. Am I right? Okay. G of x is equal to 1 divided by x minus 2 plus 9. Okay. Listen very carefully. Now something happened to this g of x graph, and they call that new equation as h of x, or new graph as h of x. Do you understand? Okay. So in this g of x graph, what are the asymptotes? In this g of x graph, asymptotes of g of x. What are the asymptotes? X is equal to, here minus 2, so x is equal to positive 2 and y is equal to positive, y is equal to 9. Am I right? So the asymptotes of the actual g of x graph is x is equal to 2 and y is equal to 9. Do you agree that one? Okay. Now the graph h, what is written there in the question? The graph of h where h of x is equal to g of x plus m plus n has asymptotes x is equal to 4 and y is equal to 3. So it is given in the question that the asymptotes of new graph h of x. What are the asymptotes of the new graph h of x? X is equal to 4 and y is equal to 3. Okay, so this is the asymptote of g of x graph. X is equal to the given graph, okay, and this one is the asymptote of h of x graph. X is equal to 4 and y is equal to 3. Okay, so now try to understand like this. This asymptote of g of x, let me try to draw that graph here once more, the same graph. Okay, this is the x-axis and this one is the y-axis. So these are the asymptotes. Okay, so here y is equal to 9 and this one it is 2. Okay, and now the graph is like this. Am I right? Okay, so this is the given graph g of x. This is the given graph g of x. Am I right? Okay. Vertical asymptote is 2 and horizontal asymptote is 9. Okay. Now what they are saying, the asymptote of h of x graph is x is equal to 4. Asymptote directly given, don't be confused. Okay. Asymptote of the new graph, let me draw with the blue one. Okay. So the new graph is x is equal to 2. So this is x is equal to 4. So this one is 4 and y is equal to 3. Okay, y positive 3. This is 3. Okay, and now the new graph is like this. Can you see that? Okay, so the blue one is the new graph and they call that one as h of x. You understand? Okay, so here I'm not just saying how to find the answer. You have to understand what is happening there. That's why I'm explaining like this. Okay, so this is the black one is g of x and the blue one is h of x. So now what happened to the graph? What happened to g of x? From here, look at the asymptote. What about g of x? How it becomes h of x? This g of x, look at the asymptote. This one is shifted how many units to the right side? 2 units to the right. That is how from here this 2 changes to 4. 2 units to the right. Okay. So then what happened? This g of x graph from 9 it is shifted 3 units downwards. Am I right? Okay. So here this graph is shifted from here how many units to the right? 2 units to the right. Okay, so it is 2 units this one. Then here this one is how many units? 6 units downward direction. Okay, so now how can you write the answer now? What is the question? H of x is equal to g of x plus m plus n has asymptotes. Okay, so the new equation, let me write the new equation here. H of x is equal to g of x plus m plus n plus n. So now what are the values of m? Okay, so this is a new h of x. We know that this blue one is h of x. So what is the new equation? What is the value of m? This g of x, what happened? This black graph, what happened? Only you look at the asymptote, that's enough. Okay, black here, that is g of x. Okay, what happened to g of x? 2 units to the right. 2 units to the right means what is here? Yeah, it's just opposite of what you are thinking. Do you remember that one? 2, if a graph moves 2 units to the right means it's negative. Okay, so it means that this value of m is minus 2 because this g of x graph, this black one, okay, moved 2 units to the right direction to get this blue one, h of x graph, this one. Okay, g of x graph shifted 2 units to the right to get h of x graph. You understand? This g of x graph is shifted 2 units to the right to get h of x graph. So it means that the value of m is minus 2. Okay, not only that one, this g of x graph at the same time, what happened to g of x graph? This is the black one is g of x graph shifted 6 units downwards to get h of x. So 6 units downwards means there is no change. If it is downwards, it's minus 6. Okay, only difference is right or left. Right means negative. Okay, down means negative. Okay, so what is the value of m? It implies that m is equal to minus 2 and n is also minus 6. So 2 units to get h of x. The g of x graph is shifted to, actually it is shifted 2 units to the right and at the same time 6 units downwards to get h of x. Listen once more. G of x graph is shifted 2 units to the right and 6 units downwards to get h of x graph. So 2 units to the right means minus 2. Okay, 6 units downwards means minus 6. So m is minus 2 and n is minus 6. So that is question number 4.4. Yes, little bit tricky, am I right? Okay, try to understand. Okay, now let's move to question number 4.5. Okay, now let's move to the next question, question number 4.5. 4.5. What is that question? The tangent y is equal to 8x plus k. So there is a tangent y is equal to 8x plus k. So you can see that that's a tangent, it's a straight line. Okay, touches the graph of f at p. Okay, we don't know where is that p. Okay, calculate the coordinate of p. So this question is an integration of calculus and this graph question. Okay, so those who studied calculus only can answer this type of questions. Okay, so if you didn't study calculus when you are watching this video, okay, so make sure that this is a final exam question, I mean, right, September exam. Okay, so you have to make sure that you studied calculus, then you come back and answer this question. Okay, so anyway, listen here, those who studied calculus, listen here. In calculus section you studied for example, there is assume that there is a curve like this. Okay, I want to find the gradient of this curve at this point, or I want to find there is a tangent, passing through that point. Okay, and what is the gradient of that tangent? Gradient is represented with the m. Okay, so what is the gradient of that tangent? So listen once more. What is the question? This is a curve. Okay, and at this point there is a tangent passing like this. Okay, and what is the gradient of that tangent? How can I find? Okay, so if this one is a curve, definitely there is an equation for this curve. For example, I'm just giving an example: minus x square plus 7x minus 2. Okay, I'm just giving an example, anything. Okay, so if this one is a curve, of course there is a tangent, I mean there is an equation for that curve. Okay, so at this point you have to know the x value also. You have to know the x value of that touching point. At least you have to know the x value of that touching point. Okay, so assume that at this point the x value is 1. I'm just giving an example, that's all. Okay, assume that at this point the x value is 1. Okay, now what is my question? How to find the gradient of this tangent at this particular point? At this particular point, what is the x value? 1. And what is the equation of this curve? F of x is equal to minus x squared plus 7x minus 2. Okay, so what you have to do to find the gradient of that curve is, you have to find the derivative of that equation f dash of x. So what is the derivative? You can do only if you know calculus. Okay, so these 2 will come here, so it is minus 2x, then 7x derivative is 7. Okay, minus 2 derivative is 0. You have to watch that video, calculus section. Okay, so f dash of x is minus 2x plus 7. Now substitute the x value of that particular point. What is the x value of that point? 1. So it is minus 2 into 1 plus 7. So minus 2 plus 7 is 5. So it means that the gradient of this tangent is m is equal to 5. You understand? What I did? First I find the derivative of this equation, that is minus 2x plus 7. In that derivative I substitute the x value of that point, and that answer is the gradient of this line. Okay, of that tangent. Okay, so now look at our given question. The tangent y is equal to 8x plus k. So for this f of x graph, there is a tangent somewhere. I don't know where is that tangent. Okay, so let me mark somewhere a point. Okay, just for you to understand. Okay, let me mark here. Okay, so there is a tangent. Okay, tangent means it's touching only once. Okay, that Okay, assume that there is a tangent there. Okay, it's touching only once. Okay, so what is our question? Assume that this is a tangent. Okay, and the equation, look at that question, the tangent y is equal to 8x plus k. So the equation of this tangent is given as y is equal to 8x plus k. So from this equation we know what is a gradient. What is a gradient? Mx plus c. So m is the gradient. What is the gradient here? 8. So we know that the gradient of this tangent is m is equal to 8. That is the gradient of that tangent. Okay. Now, what is the question? Touches the graph of f at a p. Calculate the coordinates of p. You have to find. So this is, assume that this one is. So don't misunderstand that maybe this point is p here, or maybe here, or maybe here. Okay, anywhere, and I don't know, is it here or here or here or here. Okay, so anyway, that is a point on that f of x graph. Okay, I call that point as p. I just draw just to show you like this. Okay, so this is the tangent, and this is the equation of that tangent, 8x plus k. So from this equation, now I know that the gradient of this tangent is m is equal to 8. Okay, what is the equation of f of x? We know the equation of f of x, this parabola. It is given that f of x is equal to minus x square plus 4x plus 5. Okay, so that is the equation of the parabola. Okay, so in another way, I already told you here before. Okay, how can you find the gradient of this point? How can you find the gradient of that point? Gradient of this tangent at that point? I have to find the derivative of this equation. Do you remember that one? Okay, how can I find the gradient of this? We know that gradient is 8 from the equation. Okay, but another method, calculus method, how can you find the gradient of this tangent at this point? I am supposed to find the derivative of this one. F dash of x is equal to 2 into this minus 1. So minus 2x, 4x derivative is 4 plus 0. Okay, so in this derivative, according to the calculus method, in this derivative, minus 2x plus 4 is the derivative. Okay, so in this derivative, when I substitute the x value of this point, I am supposed to get the gradient. Okay, so in this derivative, minus 2x plus 4. Okay, after I substitute the x value of this point, x value of that point p. Okay, in this x value, if I substitute this x value here, I am supposed to get the gradient as answer. But gradient we already know. Y is equal to 8x plus k. What is the gradient? 8. So we already know that after we substitute the x value of this point here, I am supposed to get the gradient. But gradient I know that it is 8. From this equation, 8x plus k. Okay, so from here, how can you find x? Minus 2x is equal to, take this one to the other side, 8 minus 4, minus 2x is equal to 4. So divide both sides with minus 2, minus 2, minus 2. So x is equal to 4 divided by minus 2 is minus 2. So it means that here the x value is minus 2. How can I find the y value? Therefore, y value is equal to, substitute in this equation back, because that is a point on that parabola. Okay, y is equal to minus x square plus 4x plus 5. Just substitute the values. Minus, what is x? Minus 2 square plus 4 into, what is x? Minus 2 plus 5. Check in your calculator. This is minus 4, minus 8, minus 12 plus 5, minus 7. Minus 7. So this one is, y value is minus 7. Don't worry, I found the x value, then substitute in this equation, x value as minus 2. Okay, so I got minus 7. So what is the coordinate of p? Minus 2 comma minus 7. Okay, so therefore coordinate of p is minus 2 comma minus 7. Okay, so listen once more. What is the question? the tangent y is equal to 8x plus k. The tangent equation of the tangent is y is equal to 8x plus k. Okay, so what is the gradient of this tangent? It is 8. M is gradient, so we know that the gradient of this tangent is 8. Okay, touches the graph of f at p. Calculate the coordinates of p. So in other way, in calculus method, how can you find the gradient of this tangent at this point? I have to find the derivative of that equation. In that derivative, I am supposed to substitute the x value of this p. Okay, so I found the derivative minus 2x plus 4, and in this derivative, after I substitute the x value of this p, I am supposed to get the gradient. But we already know that the gradient of that line is 8. So in this derivative, the gradient, after I substitute the x value, I am supposed to get the gradient as answer. So we know that gradient is 8. So from there you solve x is equal to minus 2, substitute, then y is minus 7. So it means that the coordinate of p is minus 2 comma minus 7. So that is question number 4.5. Now let's move to the next question, 4.6. Move to the next question, question number 4.6. 4.6. Determine the values of x. Determine the values of x. That means you have to find the values of x. Where are the values of x? This is the values of x. That means you have to find the values of x. Okay, so here this is the asymptote, and what is the value here? 2. Okay, and this one is another asymptote. What is the value here? 9. Okay, and this one, there is a graph like this, and that is our, which graph is this? G of x. This is our g of x graph. Okay, and here you can see that there is a point A, and what is the coordinate of that point? 3 comma 10. So this point is 3 comma 10. Okay, now listen here. If this point is 3 comma 10, what is the x value? 3. So it means that here the x value is 3. Am I right? Okay, now what is the x value at this point? Asymptote. X value is 2. Okay, then what is the y value of this point? What is the y value of that point? Here, let me increase this. Okay, this is the y axis. Am I right? Okay, so at this point, what is the y value? Y value is 10. Am I right? Okay, at this point the y value is 10. That means y value is 10. Okay, now look at that question. You have to find the values of x. You have to find the values of x. Okay, where g of x is greater than or equal to 10. Okay, g of x is greater than or equal to 10. You know that g of x is a function that is the same as y. Am I right? Okay, so you have to find the values of x. So what is the meaning of that? You have to find the values of x where y is greater than or equal to 10, because we know that g of x is the same as y. Okay, so you have to find the values of x where y is greater than or equal to 10. Where is y great? Y is 10. At this point y is 10. Okay, y greater than 10 means what? From here, from this point to this side. Am I right? From here, this is y 10. Okay, y greater than 10 means this part. Okay, so y 10, what is the x value? It is 3. When y is 10, what is the corresponding x value? 3. Okay, then when y greater than 10, can you see the graph is here? We are talking about this graph, y greater than 10. Am I right? That is the graph of y greater than 10. Okay, so when y is greater than 10, is it possible to touch this graph to this asymptote? No, it can't touch the, or it can't cross the asymptote. Okay, so it is moving upwards. It is moving upwards like this, but it won't cross asymptote. Okay, so at the asymptote, what is the corresponding x value? it is 2. Am I right? On this asymptote, what is the x value? It is 2. Do you understand? Okay. So when y greater than 2, the graph lies between here. This is y greater than 10. Sorry, not 2. Y greater than or equal to 10. This is the graph. And it won't cross this 2. And when y is equal to 10, what is the x value? 3. So it means that what is the x value? You have to find the x value. So the x value must be between 2 and 3. Am I right? Okay. The x value must be between 2 and 3. Then y greater than 10. Y greater than 10 means this part. This part is y greater than 10. So in this part, what is the x value? It won't cross this asymptote. So minimum x value is 2. Okay. And when y is 10, what is x value? 3. So greater than or equal to y greater than or equal to 10 means the x value must lie between 2 and 3. Okay. But when you write your answer, you must be careful. It must not touch this asymptote. So you must not include the 2. Okay. So you have to write 2 less than. Don't write 2 less than or equal to. Okay. 2 less than x less than or equal to 10. 10 you can include because it is y greater than or equal to 10. So y is equal to 10. What is x value? 3. So you can, oh, not 10. Sorry. 2 less than x less than or equal to 3. So when y is 10, what is x value? 3. So you can include that 3 also. Okay. So this is the answer. What is the answer? 2 less than x less than or equal to 3. So it means that when y is greater than or equal to 10, the value of x lies between 2 and 3. Can you see that? Okay. So here if I erase this part, and also let me erase all this part. Can you see that here this one is, what is the y value? 10. So when y greater than 10 means this part. What is the corresponding x values? X values, we are talking based on the graph. Okay. So x value lies between 2 and 3. That is 2 less than x less than or equal to 3. Okay. So that is 4.6.1. Now let's move to 4.6.2. Question number 4.6.2. So now here also you have to, before I explain that one, you have to understand something. First of all, let me try to find this coordinate of this C and D. You know, that are the x-intercept, okay, of that parabola f of x. Okay. What is the equation of f of x? F of x is equal to minus x square plus 4x plus 5. So f of x is the same as y. Y is equal to minus x square plus 4x plus 5. So C and D are the x-intercept. So at x-intercept, how can you find? At x-intercept, the value of y is 0. Am I right? We are going to find the coordinates of C and D. So C and D are the x-intercept. So x-intercept y is equal to 0. So we have to substitute the value of y as 0. 0 is equal to this one. So let me write this one first. Minus x square plus 4x plus 5 is equal to 0. Or throughout multiply with a negative to avoid this negative. So positive, negative into negative is positive, negative into positive is negative 4x, negative into positive is negative 5 is equal to 0. So what are the x values? Product minus 5 and the sum is minus 4. Sum is minus 4 and the product is minus 5. What are the values, guys? Minus 5 times 1, minus 5, minus 5 plus 1, that is minus 4. So it is minus 5 and plus 1. Okay. So what are the x values? X minus 5 is equal to 0 or x plus 1 is equal to 0. So x values are positive 5 and negative 1. Am I right? x is equal to, take this one to the other side, so it is 5, x is equal to minus 1. So which coordinate is this one? Positive 5, of course this one is positive 5, this is 5, okay, and negative 1, so it means that this one is negative 1, okay. So we know the coordinates of C and D, okay. So therefore C is minus 1 comma 0 and D is 5 comma 0, x-intercept y is 0, okay. Okay, now you have to write this one. Now listen very carefully here. What is the question? What is our question? You have to find the values of x. You have to find the values of x where f of x into g dash of x is greater than 0. F of x into g dash of x is greater than 0, okay. So now this question is also related to the calculus section, okay. So listen here. In calculus you studied in a cubic graph. We can do this one only if you already studied calculus, okay. Otherwise you have to skip this one and first you study calculus, then after that you watch again, okay. So in calculus, assume that this is g of x, this cubic graph is g of x. I'm not talking about that question, okay. This is another example. So here you can see that this part of the graph is increasing, am I right? So in calculus you studied if a graph is increasing, this derivative of this g of x, that means g dash of x, is positive or greater than 0. When a graph is increasing, the first derivative is positive, greater than 0. Here you can see that from this turning point to this turning point, the graph is decreasing. That means the first derivative is negative or less than 0. Then again the graph is increasing. That means the first derivative of that g dash of x is again greater than 0. What do you understand from here? When a graph is increasing, first derivative is positive, greater than 0. Okay. When a graph is decreasing, first derivative is less than 0. You understand? Negative. Okay. So increasing, first derivative increasing, when graph increasing, first derivative positive. Graph decreasing, first derivative negative. Decreasing, first derivative negative. Increasing, first derivative positive. Okay. So now look at our g dash f of x graph. G of x graph. Look at our g of x graph. Which is our g of x graph? You have to know this one. So don't forget that when a graph is increasing, first derivative positive. When a graph is decreasing, first derivative is negative. Okay. So look at our g of x graph. This one is our g of x graph. Can you see that? Okay. This is g of x graph. Is this g of x increasing or decreasing? This g of x is it increasing or decreasing? Of course it is decreasing. Am I right? So if the original graph is decreasing, what about the derivative? Negative. Am I right? So here in all these points, the g dash of x is negative. Can you see that? This one is negative. Okay. And look at this g of x also. Here also you can see that is it increasing or decreasing? G of x. Of course it is decreasing. Am I right? Okay. So in all these cases, what is g dash of x? Negative, 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 because the original graph is decreasing. Original graph is decreasing means first derivative is negative. So it means that in all these points, in all this g of x graph, first derivative is negative. In all this g of x decreasing, so first derivative is negative. This g of x is also decreasing, that means the first derivative is negative. But they want the answer as positive. Greater than 0 means positive. So what this one must be? this one also must be negative. Then only negative times negative they will get the answer as positive. Okay, so f of x must be negative. So when can you say that f of x is negative? When it is below the x-axis. Do you understand? When a graph is negative means what? When a graph is negative means what? When a graph is negative means what? When it is below x-axis. This is the x-axis. Below x-axis, here you can see that this is from here it is below x-axis. Am I right? Also from here it is below x-axis. Below x-axis the graph is negative. Okay. So which one we are talking about? This one must be negative. Then only you will get the answer as positive, because this one is already fixed there. We can't change anything there. Or because in all the cases the graph is decreasing, so it is negative throughout. Am I right? Negative, 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 because the graph is decreasing. Graph is decreasing means the first derivative. Can you see that g dash of x, first derivative is, when the graph is decreasing, first derivative is negative. So in all the graphs throughout it is negative, but still they want the answer as positive. So only one option for us. This one also must be negative. Then only negative times negative they will get the answer as positive. So this f of x is negative. Now you have to check. F of x is negative means what? When it is below x-axis. So this is our f of x graph. Am I right? This parabola is our f of x graph. Parabola is negative means below x-axis. Below x-axis means from this point. Am I right? From this point it is below x-axis, and also at this point it is below x-axis. So from this side, this is, can you see that this is -1, this is -2, -3, -4. That means when x is less than -1, when x is less than -1, when x is less than -1, the parabola is negative below x-axis. Similarly, this point is 5, this is 6, 7, 8, 9, like that. So when x is greater than 5, the parabola is below x-axis. So also when x is greater than 5, the parabola is negative. When it is after that 5, after this 5, can you see that it is negative? You understand? Okay, it is below x-axis. Similarly, before this -1, before -1, x is less than -1, can you see that it is negative, less than? Okay, so what are the two x values? When x is less than -1 or when x is greater than 5, the graph is negative. So in this case, this one is negative. Okay, so negative times negative, they will get the answer as positive. You understand? So what are the x values? X is less than -1 and x is greater than 5. Okay, so watch again, okay, and try to understand, try to drill that one in your mind. Okay, so that is question number 4.6.2. Now let's move to question number 5. Okay, let's move to the next question, question number 5. So there is a graph given there. First of all, let me draw that graph here. This is the x and y axis, and there is a graph given like this, and one point is a 3,8, and this is f of x graph, and this point y-intercept, this is the x-axis. Okay, that's all given. In the diagram below, look at that question. In the diagram below, the graph of f of x is equal to b raised to x is drawn. So what is the equation of the graph? F of x is equal to b raised to x. Okay, this is b raised to x. Now a 3,8 is a point on the f. First question, 5.1. What is that question? Calculate the value of b. It's a simple question. Okay, calculate the value of b. So y is equal to b raised to x. We know one point on the graph, that is a 3,8. So we can substitute that x and y values. Y is 8 is equal to b raised to x. What is x? 3. Okay, so this 8 we can write it as 2 raised to 3 is equal to b raised to 3. Since the exponents are the same, what is the meaning of that? Then the bases are also the same. So it means that the value of b is 2. Okay, so now what is the equation? Therefore, f of x is equal to 2 raised to x. That is the equation of that graph. Okay. Okay, so here we know that f of x is equal to 2 raised to x. Okay. Now, what is the second question? 5.2. Right, determine the equation of f inverse, the inverse of f in the form of y is equal to. So, what is f of x? 2 raised to x, am I right? So, this f of x is the same as y is equal to 2 raised to x. So, to find the inverse, what you are supposed to do? You have to swap x and y. So, this y you have to write it as x, and this x you have to write it as y. Okay, so x is equal to 2 raised to y, but you can't write the answer like this. Okay, so they want the answer in the form of y is equal to. So this y is equal to, you have to understand how to write in a logarithmic form. Okay, so this exponent is equal to log of this one, log of x, and you have to write this base as here. Okay, so this exponent y is equal to log x to the base 2. So this is the equation of the inverse of f of x. Okay, log x to the base 2. So listen once more. This is the y is equal to 2 raised to x is the equation of f of x, the given graph. Okay, to find inverse you have to swap x and y. X is equal to 2 raised to y. This y became x, x become y. Then you have to write in the form of y is equal to how? Logarithm. Okay, log x to the base 2. Y is equal to log x to the base 2. So that is question number 5.2. Okay, now let's move to the next question, 5.3. 5.3. What is that question? Sketch the graph of f inverse. You have to sketch that what is f inverse graph? What is the equation? What we wrote there? Log x to the base 2. Am I right? Log x to the base 2. Okay, so now the question is you have to draw this graph. Okay, so before that let's try to find this point. What is the coordinate of that point? We know that it is 0, 1. Okay, for an exponential graph. Okay, anyway, let's see what is the actual f of x graph. F of x is 2 raised to x. Am I right? We got the value of b as 2. Okay, so this one is y is equal to 2 raised to x. Actually, this point is the y-intercept. Am I right? This point is a y on the y-axis, so y-intercept. So at y-intercept, what is the x value? X is 0. So x is equal to 0. So y is equal to 2 raised to 0. What is 2 raised to 0? Any number raised to 0 is 1. Okay. So what is the coordinate? X is 0, y 1. So x is 0 and y 1. That means this point is 1. Okay, so what is the coordinate of that point? Let's write the coordinate 0, 1. That is the coordinate of that point. Okay, 0, 1. Now to what is this question? 5.3. 5.3 is to draw the f inverse graph. So now it's very easy. F inverse means how to find f inverse? You have to swap x and y values. Okay, so look at the graph here, 0, 1. So when you swap x and y, it is 1, 0. Am I right? 0, 1 becomes 1, 0. 1, 0 is somewhere here. This is 1, 0. And here there is another point, 3, 8. So when you swap that one to find the inverse, 8, 3. 8, 3 means somewhere here. 8, 3. This is, assume that this one is 8 and it can be here. This is 1. So somewhere here. Okay, and that one is 8, 3. So you have to draw that graph like this. So that is f inverse of x. That is a question 5.3. Okay, you have to draw f inverse. So you have to find, you have to swap x and y. Okay, then plot the points, then the graph. Okay, now let's move to the next question, 5.4. Question number 5.4. what is that question? Determine for which values of x. So here also you have to find the values of x. And what is the condition? F inverse of x is less than 4. Okay. F inverse of x. F inverse means this F inverse is also y. Am I right? Okay. So it means that x, you have to find the values of x where y is less than 4. Y is equal to 4, what is the corresponding x value? That is what I am going to find first. Okay, so y is what? Y is log x to the base 2. That is our y. Now I'm considering this f inverse of x graph. Okay, so our y is f inverse, and f inverse is log x to the base 2 is equal to 4 when y is equal to 4. Okay, so from here what is the x value? X is equal to, I am going to apply the logarithm. Okay, x is equal to, we can take this one to this side, 2 raised to 4. That's the logarithmic rule. Okay, x is equal to 2 raised to 4. So it means that x is equal to 16. So what is the meaning of that one? When actually this log x to the base 2 is y. Okay, so when y is equal to 4, what is the corresponding x value? 16. Okay, so when y is 4, we are talking based on f inverse of x graph. Okay, so when y is 4, what is the corresponding x value? That is 16. You understand? Okay, so this one, let me mark it as clearly. When y is 4, corresponding x value is 16. Okay, so when y less than 4, that is a question. Why f inverse of x is less than 4? Less than 4 means this is 3, 2, 1, 0, minus 1, minus 2. Okay, what about the x value? When y is 4, it is 16. So when y is 3, it is less than 16. Y is 2, it is again less than. Y is 1, again less than. Y is 0, again. Y is 1. Okay, and it is going like this. You understand? That means when y is less than 4, the x value is less than 16. You understand? When y is less than 4, the x value is less than 16. And to this side, can you see that when this graph increases, it never crosses this y axis. That means y axis, what is the x value? 0. Okay, so it will be before, after 0. Okay, it won't never touch the y axis. So it means that the value of x is between 0 less than x less than 16. So when y is less than 4, the value of x will be between 0 and 16. So the answer is 0 less than x less than 16. Okay, so listen once more. We have to find the value of x where f inverse of x is less than 4. Okay, so what we are doing first, we are checking that when y is 4, f inverse of x is also a function, so we call that as y. Okay, so when y is 4, what is the corresponding x value? So when y is 4, I got the corresponding x value as 16. So when y is less than 4, then the value of x between 0 and 16. Less than 4 means this part. Can you see that? Okay, and that is between 0 and 16. So what is the x value? Between 0 and 16. Okay, so that is the answer. Okay, that is 5.4. Now let's move to 5.5, the last question. Question number 5.5. What is that question? Describe the transformation from f to h. F to h. Okay, and to h of x is equal to 1 by 4 f of x. So f to h of x is equal to, what is h of x? 1 by 4 f of x. So you have to describe the transformation from f of x to h of x, where h of x is that 1 by 4 f of x. You have to write h of x. We don't know what is h of x, we know only f of x. Okay, they did something, and maybe the graph is shifted to the right or left or up or down. Okay, and they got a new graph. Okay, and we have to tell what is that transformation. Okay, and what is h of x given? H of x is equal to 1 by 4 f of x. Okay, so now f of x is what? It is given in the question, the equation of f of x, b raised to x. B we got as 2, so it is 2 raised to x, that is a f of x. Okay, and h of x is what? H of x is what? 1 by 4 f of x. So what is f of x? 2 raised to x. So it is 1 by 4 into 2 raised to x. 1 by 4 f of x, and we know that f of x is 2 raised to x. So 1 by 4 2 raised to x. So now look at this one, h of x, it implies that h of x is equal to, this 4 is 2 raised to minus 2, am I right? Okay, so 2 raised to minus 2 into 2 raised to x. So here when you applied a in a raised to b, or let's say what is the exponential rule you studied. Here you can see that the same basis. Okay, so a raised to m into a raised to n, what you are supposed to do? A raised to m plus n. So similarly here h of x is equal to 2 raised to minus 2 plus, sorry, minus 2 plus x. Am I right? You have to write m plus n. So it is minus 2, this minus 2 plus x, or that is the same as x minus 2. Am I right? Okay, so what is h of x? H of x is equal to 2 raised to x minus 2. So now look at f of x and h of x. What is our f of x? This is our f of x. Okay, and what is our g of x? G of x is this one. Okay, now tell me what type of transformation is that? F of x is 2 raised to x, and what is g of x? 2 raised to x minus 2. Minus x minus, when the x value minus 2, what is the meaning of that? Shifted 2 units to the minus 2, means just opposite of what we are thinking. Normally minus 2 means left, but it's in the case of graph is not like that. Minus 2 means to the right. How many units? 2 units. Am I right? Okay, so f of x is shifted how many units? 2 units to the right direction. That's why we got x minus 2. Okay, f of x is shifted 2 units to the right. Okay, so listen once more. Our f of x is what is the question? Describe the transformation from f to h. That is the question. What type of transformation from f to h? Okay, and h of x is also given. H of x is 1 over 4 f of x. So first we wrote f of x. What is our given equation? F of x is equal to 2 raised to x. And what is h of x given? 1 by 4 f of x. Am I right? H of x is 1 by 4 f of x. So we know f of x is 2 raised to x. So 1 by 4 2 raised to x. So when we simplify that one, we got h of x as 2 raised to x minus 2. And what is the question? We have to write the transformation from f of x to h of, what type of transformation? So this is f of x and this is h of x that we got. Okay, this is the equation of h of x. So here x, here x minus 2. Minus 2 means shifted 2 units to the right. Okay, so guys, that is question number 5.5, and that's the end of September 2021 Northern Cape. So there are some tricky questions, that's why it stays too long. Okay, but anyway, I hope all of you understand clearly. So thank you for watching. Keep on watching. Okay, practice maximum number of questions, so when you write your exam it will be easy. Okay, so see you on the next lesson.